Today we are making a reversible jacket. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rebecca and I redesign old thrifted items and I show you step by step how to do it. In today's video, we are going to make a reversible jacket using an old bed sheet and a quilted bed cover. I'm not using any pattern for this video, and that is what I really love about sewing, that you don't have to use a pattern to make clothes that you want. You can actually base it off your old clothes that you have laying around. And in this case, I used an oversized knitted sweater. If you're drawing a new pattern based on your old clothes, make sure that you add extra seam allowance around the edges and also try it on while you sew so that you can do adjustments as you go. So I found this beautiful quilt in the thrift store and it is perfect for this project. So I'm going to fold my knitted sweater in half and ignore the stretchy part at the bottom. Then I'm using the collar of an existing jacket that I already own. I'm just going to trace around this collar and add seam allowance around the edges. So this is perfect for the design of the jacket that I want. If you don't have a collar like this, you can also use a shirt that you have. So on a folded fabric, you're going to cut around the front part of your sweater. Make sure that you add a few inches or centimeters in the front for a zipper. Then for the back, on a folded fabric, you're going to cut out the back piece. And I'm using the front pieces to make sure that the length is the same. And then I'm going to trace around the back part of my sweater. Next, I'm also going to trace around the sleeves and cut out sleeves similar to the sweater that I own, except that I'm not going to have the scrunched part at the bottom of the sleeve. So they're just going to be straight. So for the front, we're going to add some squared pockets, and I'm measuring them about 20 centimeter one way and 20 centimeter the other way. Now I'm also going to trace around the collar part, and I'm adding 1 centimeter around the whole collar. I'm also cutting out in a contrast color or in another color for the inside of the jacket, and we're going to cut out all the parts in the other color fabric. I'm using just a bed sheet for this in a flower printed fabric. So now we're sewing up the shoulder seams and we're pressing them flat and nice. And then we're opening the whole jacket and we're going to pin in place the sleeves right side facing each other. And then you're going to sew on the sleeves and then sew together the sleeve and the side seam of the jacket. Here I'm just sewing a strip of fabric in a contrast color, and I'm going to fold it and sew it along the neckline and the center of the neckline. Next, we're going to place the contrast fabric over the pockets, and we're sewing a seam at the top, and then we're pressing the seam flat, and then you're going to sew a support stitch, keeping the fabric in place. Next, you're going to fold the inside fabric over and drag it a little bit down so that the outside fabric has about 1 centimeter overlap, so that when you turn these pockets around, the outside fabric is going to go a little bit further down on the inside of the pocket. Make sure that you leave a little room for turning the pockets around, and you can hand stitch these in place afterwards. If you want to sew the pockets on with your machine, you can go ahead and do that now, but I want to sew them on by hand because I want to have an invisible seam on the pockets. But if you want to sew it with the machine, go ahead and do that now. Now sew the shoulder seam and the sleeves on the outside of the jacket, just as we did on the inside of the jacket, and sew the collar together, right side facing each other, and cut away any excess fabric and turn the whole collar around. Make sure that you get this pointy, nice edges on the collar, and sew a top stitch about 1 centimeter width around the whole collar. Next, you can place the collar right side facing the jacket and pin it in place and sew a stitch to keep it in place. Make sure that the edges of the collar is matching up and is the same length. Go ahead and find a chunky zipper that is made for jackets so that you can open them completely up, and open it and take one of the sides and sew it together to the jacket as close to the collar as possible. Then make sure that the zipper is aligning and sew it together on the other side of the jacket, right side facing. And now go ahead and line up the lining with the collar right side facing each other, and fold the lining alongside of the zipper and pin it in place. You can go ahead and sew this by hand, or you can sew it with the machine on the wrong side of the jacket. I'm just going to wait a little bit with this, and I'm going to trim the sleeves and fold these side seams together on the wrong side of the jacket. Take your hand through the sleeve and pull it out so that you have both sleeves matching with the side seams, and pin it in place all the right way around the sleeve's edge. And then do a stitch to keep it in place on both sleeves, and then take your hand through the sleeve again and pull the sleeve out, and also pull the lining as well. And now you can fold the bottom up so that you have a nice edge. Now I'm going to close up the lining with the zipper, and I'm going to just do it by machine. So I am folding the whole jacket wrong side out, and I'm just unpinning my pins, making sure that the zipper is sandwiched nice in between those two layers, and I'm sewing a stitch along the jacket's front. Now I just folded the whole jacket wrong side out, and I sewed up the bottom edge of the jacket, leaving a little gap so that I can turn the whole jacket around. Then turn the whole jacket right side facing out, and close up that hole by sewing it by hand, or just do a stitch with your machine. Now for the pockets, I'm just pinning them in place where I want them to be located, and I sewed it by hand. And I just picked up a little bit of fabric of the jacket and a little bit of fabric from the pocket, and do small stitches because these are going to carry a lot of weight. If you are going to have your cell phone or keys or something inside of the pockets, you need to make sure that you sew it very closely stitches. So when you are finished sewing on the pockets, the jacket is done. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video and that you will give it a try. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram if you want to have more inspiration. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave a comment down below and a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. That will help me out a lot to reach more people. And talk to you guys next Friday. Bye!